Hey guys, welcome back to yet another video. As you already know, I am on a fitness journey and I'm on a 6 weeks cut. I make my own bread. I am a baker. Right now, I'm gonna bake a sourdough bread. And I'm just gonna show you guys a few steps how I make my own sourdough bread. This is tap water actually, but I had it sitting on the counter for like about 12 hours to get the chlorine evaporated so it will not kill the starter. I fed the starter this morning with just flour and water and of course starter. A starter is what we call a levain. That helps the bread to rise, it flavors the bread along with the other ingredients. It's very simple ingredients, so and you need a scale. To bake sourdough bread, a scale is essential. So I'm just gonna add my water first. Always add water to get a good loaf of bread. Add your water and then add everything else after. So I'm gonna zero my scale right now. And then I'm gonna pour in my starter. Once the starter floats, you know it's a good levain. You know it's fully ripe, so you're gonna get a good loaf of bread, right? So I weigh just the amount that I need, and I got my float. I kind of mash everything up there. My hands are clean, don't worry. I already washed my hands. Then I zero the scale again to add my flour. Here I have bread flour. And I use organic flour in everything that I bake. So that's just about it. Then I zero it again just to have my measurements correct. I have here strong wholemeal bread flour. So this is the whole wheat part and just a little bit of whole wheat flavor to the bread. It adds a nutty flavor. So that's just enough for me right now. So that's all I'm gonna add right now, and then I'm gonna use this dough scraper and bring everything together. Guys, at this stage it's a wet shaggy dough, so I'm gonna let it sit, and then in 30 minutes I will add my salt. That's the last ingredient I will add. Actually, I may do some add-ins. Add-ins could be cranberry, or it can be nuts, whatever. So today I may do a cranberry with walnut. I may do that as an add-in. And I usually keep these covers, like to cover the bread. And I'm gonna let this sit on the counter for like 30 minutes, and then I will add my salt. I already have the salt, so I still need the scale in order to get the accurate amount. I don't need the flour for now. The only time I will need some flour is when I'm shaping the dough. Hey guys, so I'm about to add the salt to the flour. So I have a bit of water here just to damp my hands, and here I have the salt. So I'm just gonna add the salt. So I have the scale, of course, just to get the right amount. And then I kind of wet my hands and I mix in the salt. So I do kind of stretch and fold, kind of mixing in the salt. Sourdough is a very healthy bread, guys. I highly recommend, this bread. That's the only bread I consume. I make lots of different bread, but sourdough bread is life for me. So the salt is all mixed in, and I'm gonna let this sit for like another 30 minutes, and then I am gonna do a series of stretch and fold. So it's gonna be in 30 minutes increments, 3 stretch and fold. The process is long, but it's actually worth it. You see the dough is all shaggy, so right now it's going through its autolysis. So the gluten is developing gluten. It's gonna, as I go, it will change. You will see that the texture of the dough, it gets smoother, it gets firm, it develops structure. So guys, stay tuned, I'll be back. So this is my first stretch and fold. I'm gonna damp my hands with some water here, and then I'm gonna do my stretch and fold. I have to do 3 of those, right? So this is basically what I do. Look at the dough compared to how it was before. So it developed a lot of structure, and develop gluten as well. So yeah, that's it, simple like that. And I'm gonna leave this, let it rest for another 30 minutes. I'm gonna do 2 more of those, and after that I'm gonna let the dough, well, actually on the last stretch and fold I'm gonna add my walnut and my cranberry, and then I'm gonna leave it and then shape it and then put it in the fridge. So I'm gonna show you the last few steps. I may not show you all the different steps of the stretch and fold, but this is, guys, I have been super busy doing stuff around the house. So this is my final stretch and fold. I have added the cranberry and the walnut to the bread, but I could not do it. So guys, I am back. This is the final step for tonight. This is what we call a banneton. So this is where I'm going to put the bread in, the dough actually. I'm going to put the dough in. I sprinkle it with a little bit of flour just to avoid any sticking, because sometimes that can be a disaster. And then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on the counter, and then I'm going to empty out the bread like that. I'm just going to help it out of the tray. So as you can see, the dough is very soft. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of flour and on my hands as well. Normally, I will leave the dough to rest a bit on the counter for like a few minutes. But tonight, trust me, I am tired and I just need to form this dough and get it over and done with for tonight. I know it would not affect anything because I've been making sourdough for like years now, so I think some of the steps is really not necessary, but we do it anyways. But yeah, so this is my banneton. However, I'm going to leave it on the counter, sprinkle just a little bit of flour just to avoid sticking, and then I'm going to leave it on cover on the counter for like about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to cover it and put it in the fridge, and tomorrow you guys are going to see me baking it. Okay guys, so hey guys, so this is the following day. I'm about to bake my sourdough bread. This is a cast iron skillet. I'm going to put this in the oven so it's going to heat up for like about 20 to 30 minutes. It may be less because it's a gas stove. It's a gas oven, so it actually heats up really quick. So I conserve gas and everything. So I have some scones that I made last night, some whole wheat cranberry maple pecan scones. So I'm gonna put this to bake while this heats up in the oven. So I'm just putting some milk on it. I could use heavy cream, but I'm not a heavy cream girl. I more into so I use whole milk. So I'm just gonna brush it with some whole milk, and then I'm gonna put it to bake while the cast iron skillet. Today is my treat day, so I treat myself to something sweet because I usually have savory breakfast during the week. So I treat myself on a Sunday to either scones or muffin or something. These days I feel for scones, and so I make it. So I have been having scones for the last 3 weeks, and that's fine. I use whole wheat flour in my scones, and I don't use as much butter. So I cut back. I make it a bit healthier. The ingredients I use is healthy ingredients. As I say, I use a lot of organic stuff. I make it healthy. I don't use margarine. I use butter and you know just good stuff in there, and I enjoy it. So this is my scones, and I'm putting the skillet to heat up in the oven at the same time.